there's something that we learn. I learned this the hard way. Okay, the hard way. I don't actually think, I know that there was nothing truly wrong with the line that I dropped. It could have been much better, much funnier. But in truth, anyone with a sense of humor understood what I was getting at. One of the points in my career that I would take back if I could was I was on the at the desk, at the dais, at the with Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith and Greg Gumbel and Greg Anthony. And we were, it's just a little throwaway deal where you just said, you're like welcoming people in. What are you excited about? And I said, hey, don't worry about me. I'm just here for the white man's perspective. Right? Now, part of it was I could have said I'm the token white guy. That would have been funny. White man's perspective, I still think is rather funny. It was tongue planted firmly in cheek, but maybe it was because Barkley said he didn't hear me. I don't know if Greg heard me or just Greg Anthony didn't like me at the time. I don't know. And Kenny we're good. So they were on the other side of the thing. Only Greg Anthony was right next to me. Whatever it was, it didn't go over well. But I think it didn't go over well mostly because I made the big mistake you make on television or radio, which is I assumed. I assumed everyone knew, one, I know a thing or two about basketball, and two, I'm a smartass, right? I was trying to make fun of myself. I assumed everybody was in on a joke, which you're like, this was the first time I was not just on CBS. It wasn't the first time I was on CBS, but the first time I'm on CBS, the Sweet 16, you got like 95% of viewers have never watched a college basketball game at all that year. And probably 50% of them have never actually even watched me, like didn't even know I exist because my world existed at ESPN before that, right? It was my first year there and my first big CBS Sweet 16. I'd called games the week before. I'd been on Selection Sunday, but I'm still mistaken for Seth Davis all the time, right? Anyway, you start to understand it's different when it's a broadcast of that magnitude. It's just different. We talked about this last year that when LeBron came to LA, everybody thinks that how you play is just, LeBron's going to make everybody better. But the problem with being with LeBron and being with the Lakers is now all of a sudden you're not a game where guys go out the night before a game. Like the Lakers were kind of a joke the previous years, and now you got LeBron coming in. It's everyone's asking you for a ticket, and you're preparing in kind. Right? That's really what's happening. And so I call it the LeBron effect. He's everybody's biggest game. Duke and Kentucky, they'll tell you this as well, that their players face every time they go on the road, it's Kansas in the Big 12. You're everybody's biggest game. Now, sometimes that helps you because you got a following even on the road. Sometimes that helps you because your coach, your program commands such respect. You don't usually get homered by the officials. But a lot of times it raises everyone's level of play, everyone's level of expectations. It's just different. I think Tampa is going through that as well. This was Brett Favre on Sirius XM talking about Bruce Arians calling out Tom Brady.
I think the last person you want to call out after the first game of the year is Tom Brady. Now, maybe they had a mutual truce going into the game, going into the season. Hey, I'm going to be hard on you. I want the guys to know that we're going to treat you the same, even though technically I'm not. So are you okay with it? If they have that truce, great. If not, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. The dissension could easily enter quickly.
I think it's because every Tuesday press conference, a coach will say something interesting. Even if they say nothing, saying nothing can in fact be interesting. Here's Tom Brady talking about his head coach's criticism.
Whether you were surprised at all to hear Bruce speaking publicly about the picks and being critical of you as he was.
He's a coach, so I'm a player, just trying to win a game.
Pretty short answer, right? Now, look, we can read into it as he ain't playing ball. We can read into it as he's ticked. That's why he's not talking. We don't know, but we do know that everything is different when it's Thomas, Edward, Patrick, Brady. It's just different. I mean, look, they wouldn't have played the New Orleans Saints the first game of the year if it wasn't for Tom Brady, and it wouldn't have been the highlighted game on Fox, played in the afternoon instead of in the morning. Right? Wouldn't have been the highest rated game week 1 if it wasn't for Tom Brady. Everything is, the Brady effect is different. Like, Jameis Winston threw 30 picks last year. How many of them did we go back through whose fault what it was? I don't remember. Now, look, there's a lot, so there's a lot of blame to go around, mostly pointed at him. But I don't remember going through every pick going like, this one was on. The one to Mike Evans, who now has said, like, hey, I was actually my bad. I thought it was covered 2. It was quarters coverage. I should have kept going. It's been Brady's fault, Arians' fault, Evans' fault, right? Like, it's back to Brady's fault at some point because he shouldn't have thrown it even if we knew Evans. He didn't look. He just threw it. He just let it go. Whatever. The point is, we're discussing these things ad nauseum. Why? Tom Brady. Tom Brady. And I disagree on some level with Brett Favre. Like, Tom Brady can take it. It wasn't that harsh a criticism. It's the part that was weird was like, hey, nothing he saw we didn't prepare him for. Like, really? Really? Everything's different when it's Brady. Every comment is importance is magnified. Every game is made more important. Every interception is discussed. Every errant throw is Tom Brady finally going off the cliff? Tom Brady. We've never had a quarterback that has 6 championship rings. We've never had a quarterback who's been with one program for one team for 20 years, and we essentially took less money to stay. Then all of a sudden, we have had guys change teams, but to change teams and to go to one that had such, little culture of winning, but now such high expectations, this feels just different. And in this era, like NFL, those quarterbacks, I don't know, like Phillip Rivers left the Chargers and went to the Colts and threw a late pick. Nobody's talking about it today. Nobody's talking about his coach's comments. Part of it is his coach didn't call him out, but part of it is nobody's talking about his coach's comments because he's not Tom Brady. It was maybe the 7th biggest story on Monday. Maybe. Cowboys was bigger. Aaron Rodgers was bigger. Russell Wilson was bigger. Baker Mayfield playing poorly. Kyler Murray. Tom Brady. Yet I'm at like 7. It's probably more closer to the 10th biggest story because he's never won anything. He's a great player who hasn't won anything. And stop me if you heard before, he lost a close game because he didn't play well down the stretch. And I like Phillip Rivers. I'm a Phillip Rivers fan as a human and as a football player, but I'm also a realist about who he is and about his level of importance.